Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. I'm about to go Scotty Kilmer.
Here I am warning you. I tell you, their quality control is garbage.
And the reason why is I just heard Ford with their Q3 earnings call, and what the CEO had this to say. Roll it.
First, is there any update on the BlueCruise deployment, including through OTA, maybe some initial customer feedback?
Great, thank you. We're shipping with Mach-E F-Series now, BlueCruise, as they leave the factory, and we're going to be OTAing BlueCruise in the first quarter. We wanted to improve the customer experience, so we pushed it back in terms of an OTA because we want it to be much simpler for the customer than was originally planned. And that takes a little planning to consolidate. Often these level 2 systems require multiple updates to the car. We want it to be very simple. That took a little bit more work on our team's part. And so, it's available as we ship products now, and as an OTA, it'll be in the first quarter, and it'll be a lot simpler to use and get that OTA and update for the customer than it was originally planned. Does that answer your question?
And to catch you up to speed, if you're not sure what BlueCruise is, it's basically Ford's Tesla Autopilot equivalent of hands-free driving. It's not self-driving, but you can put cruise control on, let your hands off the wheel, and the truck will essentially drive itself with you filling in if need be. Now, this is something that as a first-time Ford buyer, listening to this just droning on about how BlueCruise will be available in Q1, it's incredibly infuriating. The reason why it's infuriating isn't because of the delay itself. I understand it's a complex technology. Roll it out, get it right the first time. There's a lot of respect for that. What I'm annoyed by is that they informed their investors on an investor call, and had that question not been asked, I don't believe we would even still know about this delay. And it's just really frustrating. My truck, I spent almost $1,000 on the option to have the hardware installed and then have the software get rolled out later. And then you find out that Ford is actually currently rolling trucks off the line with this technology activated. So it's very confusing, and honestly, it just sounded like a whole bunch of lip service to say that the software needs to be refined so that the update process isn't complicated because there's these multiple modules that have to be updated. None of that makes sense, because if the software is being rolled out today from the factory with these modules being flashed with the appropriate software.
We're shipping with F-Series now, BlueCruise, as they leave the factory.
Now, it's potentially possible that the over-the-air updates are more complex than what they had anticipated. That's fine. We have USB slots in our vehicles. They could easily provide this software, most likely on a USB stick. And worst case scenario, start opening up the dealerships to reflash these modules with appointments. So the reason why I'm frustrated, again, just to make this clear, is there are forums that people are just back and forth trying to get information about whether these updates are out, when they're going to be out, because Ford said they would deliver it in Q3 of 2021. Q3 ended a month ago, and there's no updates. And not only over-the-air software updates, there's no actual updates to the customers telling them what's going on with the software. And now they're telling their investors it's not even going to be in the following quarter, it's going to be the quarter after that. When you start talking about quarters, you're talking about batches of 3 months. This is huge amounts of time. So if you expected it to be Q3, it's reasonable for some of your customers to assume maybe that's early Q3. Well, now that you're saying Q1 of the following year, it's safe to assume that might be end of Q1. That's 9 whole months of window. Now, I think why I'm mostly frustrated about this is you start looking at these large corporations and how they just skate without having to have any accountability for customers whatsoever. Meanwhile, the average working person, I'm a project manager, construction, and when we promise delivery dates of projects, we are held accountable to those dates. And if we're going to slip on those dates, which does happen, especially with material shortages, that stuff happens. Projects slip all the time. But you're required to provide schedule updates and then also provide a new upcoming anticipated date of when you think that job will end. That's how normal people in the real world work. And if Ford is selling their vehicles to the everyday average working man and woman of America, they should probably be realizing that we work in those environments. We are expecting that when we buy a working man's truck, if you want to call it that, that you're going to kind of respect the person you're selling the truck to. So I don't know what fairy tale world these executives live in. You don't just get to say things and then have no accountability for those things that are said. I just call BS on this, and I don't find this to be an acceptable way to handle customer relations through notifying your investors and never letting your customers know what's happening with stuff that they spent hard-earned dollars on. So my ownership experience with this Ford, this goes back to a lot of frustration in the custom ordering process where you go weeks and weeks and months of not getting any updates on something that you've ordered, and they just kind of expect you to kind of hold on and wait and be patient. The comments in my channel, there's all kinds of Ford apologists or people, I guess, that just don't understand the passion behind it, that are like, oh, you're just being impatient. And maybe that's the case, but I look at it this way, is that once a company accepts money from you, whether it's a deposit or like this BlueCruise thing actually takes money from you, that the expectation is there to deliver. And I don't think that it's healthy to just let these companies skate for months, quarters, an entire year, and assume like, well, we should just be patient. It doesn't work that way. I just find this to be wholly unacceptable. I think that it's a terrible way that Ford has been handling customer communication. And to say that even almost sounds as if they're trying. I don't think they're even trying to communicate with customers. As of today, if I log into the Ford owner site, it's still telling me that I can expect the BlueCruise to be delivered in Q3 of 2021. That's a month ago. So they're not even just changing that to anything to tell you what's going on. It's still just, yep, it's probably coming a month ago. And I don't know, we'll figure it out, I guess. But my thought process is, if they're rolling trucks off the line with this software today, and the modules should be the same, a 2021 rolling off the line 6 months ago to today, if they have the same modules, should be able to take the same software, even if it's more complex and not as
simple
of an update process. There's no reason why you shouldn't be providing customers with the same stuff that's rolling off the line today. I mean, it's just that simple. So either there's a problem with BlueCruise itself, and they shouldn't have it on any vehicles on the road, which who knows, they're not telling you enough real information to know that, or there's a problem with the modules that maybe they were cramming into these trucks to get them out the door so that they could sell them and keep profits. Maybe that's also why they're notifying the investors and not the customers, because I don't know. Just seems to me like if you're going to talk to the investors, that you care more about them than the customers. Again, if these modules in my truck that I bought months ago don't work, well, is there a big recall coming where you're going to have all these modules come back in to replace them out with modules that do work? There is so much more to know here, and I do not for a second believe that it has to do with simplifying software so you could push an OTA update potentially 3 months from now because you couldn't figure out over the course of development of this whole product. So the idea that the over-the-air update is the roadblock to getting this stuff installed in these vehicles doesn't seem acceptable to me. There should be a way where you can download this stuff right from the internet, allow people the option to take their own vehicle down for however long the update process takes. And then, you know what? You can roll out your simplified software later, because the trucks that are rolling around today are very well going to also have to accept whatever simplified version of software you have coming down the pike 6 months from now, 3 months, whenever these dates come. Because at this point, I don't trust any dates that Ford provides, because they don't seem to care about holding themselves accountable to the dates that they provide anyway. So what is a date and a deadline if you're not going to even pretend to try to meet it or ever update people on the progress, even after you miss those dates a month later? So I am beyond fed up as a first-time Ford buyer that this is the way that they communicate. Again, I don't care that there's problems. I never care if there's problems. But when there's problems, I expect at least an attempt of communicating to the people that are expecting you to deliver on the things that you promised to begin with. And I don't find that to be an unreasonable expectation. So I have a YouTube channel, so I'm here to complain about it. That's kind of, I guess, what I do here. So with that being said, guys, I just wanted to come on here and vent my frustration. I have people asking me why I haven't done my top 5 things that I love about the truck. And it's because I'm not ready to do that yet, to be totally honest with you. There's plenty to love about the truck, but the experience at this point, not great. Stay tuned for that video. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys next time.